and do my job.
Well, my heart goes out to all of you, really does. I think it's horrible what's happening. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's just sick of the quote little person getting squashed. And my mother, she didn't go to college, but she did well in high school. She had a rather rough life. She was a very smart woman, didn't have a very nice end, but one of the things that she always said to me when I was young was that people like you, these workers, if it wasn't for you guys, the big ones like Wagner, if it wasn't for his workers that go to work every day with those trucks, that haul that garbage, that hurt their backs, that go out in the sweat, in the heat and sweat, in the cold, and they're always, and by the end of the day they smell like garbage. They do this day in and day out and day in and day out. If he didn't have them, where would he be? Yeah. So I want to thank both of you for coming on, and I think I'm going to, since we're running around 6 o'clock. Ace, can you show that video of Wagner? And if Ace can get that up, while he's showing that, I'll have my other two guests. I'll have them switch on. And we have another union member here, and we just don't have enough time for him. So we, and he's like, oh, thank God. So, can you find that one, Ace? Mm-hmm. Okay. 1 second. All right.
Well, thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. And I hope that with the new year, I hope that, certain members.
Yesterday, my Senate colleagues at the end of the day talked about the people that were in the rotunda during the day that were lobbying for the increase of minimum wage. And I come from the private sector, and I'd like to point out a few things. There's a convenience store chain in York County that advertises on their front door they will start you at $9.05 an hour. And if you're good, they will fast track you to over $10 an hour, probably within a 30, 60, 90 day. But there's some ingredients that are missing with a lot of the workers, and I appreciate the people that were here yesterday, and they most likely were being paid. They were paid yesterday to appear by the unions that they work for. And I'd like to point out that I did notice some T-shirts from the liquor union, and I'd like to point out that I think Wendell Young makes somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000. So I'm just curious how their wages are working out with his wages. But let's talk about something that I think is more important. There are a lot of jobs out there in the market. I talked to someone in my company yesterday. They called me, one of my managers. She called a roofing company, and she needed a roof replaced on her home. The roofing company said, we're not taking any more jobs, and it's early in the roofing season. And she asked why. They responded that they couldn't find workers. So the workers that are down here in the hallways looking for work, I'd be happy to give them some numbers of employers in York that would probably pay wages somewhere between $12 and $15 an hour. But there are a couple things required. Number one, you would have to have an alarm clock, and you would have to be able to get out of bed. You would be able to have to pass a drug test, and you would have to have some work ethic. And this is a problem, and it is all over this country. I have a friend that has fast food restaurants. Periodically, I don't go into fast food restaurants every now and then, but maybe I'll stop for a coffee. And periodically, you'll notice somebody behind the counter on a cell phone, either talking on the cell phone or texting, and that's clearly against the company policy. And you'll look around, and anywhere you go, there are younger workers with their pants hanging down, rear ends hanging out. They really don't care about their appearance. And it talks, and then there's behavior. I don't care if you pay somebody $20 an hour. If they have a certain behavior, it's not going to change their behavior, and this is realism. The other problem we have is that we have given out so many government benefits over the last 5 years that we have more people riding the wagon than pulling the wagon. In York County, and I talk about jobs, our Manufacturers Association of South Central Pennsylvania has identified 3,500 jobs for skilled workers that are available now. There are forklift jobs paying $12 an hour, and you can be hired if you can pass a drug test, be there, and meet minimum requirements, and they will train you. And recently, the Manufacturers Association participated in a program where they started out with 12 people in the program. When the program was finally over and ended, they had 2 employees. It had to do with work ethic, getting out of bed, passing drug tests, and it's really unfortunate. There are a lot of jobs out there for people who want to work that are far greater than $7.20 an hour and greater than $10.10 an hour being proposed. So I think I come from the private sector. I have a totally different opinion. And if my colleagues on the other side of the aisle don't believe me, spend a day or two with me and we'll go around and we'll talk to employers and we'll show you what the real world's all about, because again, this building does not have a great connection with the real world. So anyway, there are jobs out there, and I appreciate the people, I appreciate their opinions that came here yesterday, but I don't agree with a lot of the policies and positions.
Holy great.
It's all right. You're good now.
See your friends and get wigs.
Okay.
There we go.
So we're Ace is not giving us a cue. Are we back, Ace? Okay. Can everybody kind of calm everybody quiet? Okay. All right. Thank you. Our very vocal union members are exiting. So. All right, I have with me now, these 2 are my scheduled guests. So we still have a good half hour pretty much to talk with them. And so you are, let me get this right, Alina? Alina.
Yes.
Okay, this is Alina.
Yes.
And then on my far left is Tony. And both of them stutter. Mm-hmm. And the reason I asked them on the show is, earlier this year when I started this show, Tony Facebooked me because I have on my Facebook page that I have a speech communication degree, and he asked me if I was a speech therapist, and I said no, and he said, well, I want to start a support group for people who stutter. And I thought, wow, what a really interesting idea, and it's something that you never think about. So I asked him if he'd like to be on the show, and I think he didn't take me seriously at first, and I said, no, really, I really want you on the show. So he's been trying, bless his heart, so hard to get on the show, but he wanted a female to come with him because apparently males stutter more than females. Is that correct?
Yes.
So finally, he found one. So I'm going to let these 2 talk about this. There are 2 really great organizations out there, and we can talk about that a little bit. But the purpose of this is really to bring this issue out in the open. Again, this is something that's stigmatized. So I think we need to talk about this.
Absolutely.
And then Alina will give some, and I pronounce your name right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Alina is going to talk a little bit too about how you interact with someone who stutters, which some people are really, they don't know what to do. So they do things that are not really helpful.
Exactly. So I have stuttered since I could talk. And at first the pediatrician was like, oh, she'll grow out of it. Then around 3rd grade, I think my parents realized, oh, she's not growing out of it. Mm-hmm. I had 11 speech therapists in 8 years, which is kind of unheard of. And the hard thing is that speech therapy is such a broad field. And so a lot of speech therapists don't know a lot about stuttering. Mm-hmm. And so that makes it hard to help a person who stutters when you don't exactly know how to. Mm-hmm. So right now I am in school for speech pathology, and I will get my master's for it in May.
Wow.
So I'm learning that speech pathology is a broad field, and we only have 1 class on stuttering. That's it. 1 class, which I'm taking next semester, so hope I pass. But it's true, we only have that 1 class on stuttering, and then after that, it's such a broad field. You deal with swallowing, feeding, language, memory, attention, speech articulation. There's so many other things that people see that stuttering isn't really the common one. Even though the statistics are there are 60 million people in the world who stutter.
Yeah, I have that. Actually, I found that actually it's higher than that. According
Oh,
to
it's higher now?
I looked this up on the stutter. They have the Stuttering Foundation, and that's www.stutteringhelp.org. And the stat that they give was more than 70 million
Oh, wow.
people worldwide stutter. That's 1% of the population, and over 3 million Americans stutter. And it says stuttering affects 4 times as many males as females. So that's kind of really interesting that you get one. So you're educating them probably.
Yeah, what's really great about my program, I go to Malloy College in Long Island, New York. What's great is that they've really been open to me, and I'm very outgoing about it. And we were talking earlier today about how I have a good humor about it too, and I have a good outlook on it where like it is what it is. So I'm very open about it, and I would say, I mean, at my internships, at my program, classes and stuff, I've had so many questions, and I love that. I love that they ask me questions instead of just like assuming things. And that is a big piece of advice that I give to everybody is like, if you have questions, ask.
Yeah.
I know that me and Tony as well, we're both very open about it. And so if you have questions about it, ask.
That's the funny thing, because all the guests I've had on here, I've had guests who are LGBT, I have guests who are people of color, and that's the universal thing is, if you have a question, just ask. Don't just assume, or
Absolutely.
don't be nervous, just ask.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we were just talking about too is how people interact with you, and that they finish your sentences, that they don't know, it's like, oh, what to do here, and they look away. And
I don't know about
Yeah,
you,
it's
Tony,
like-
but I think for me the most annoying thing is when people finish my sentence and they get it wrong. So like they try to like tell me what I'm gonna say, and I'm like, no, that's not what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because like the mixture of, you know, like them trying to finish a sentence, or, you know, like you'll look at them and they'll look at you as you're talking, and they're like, should I do something? Should I say something? I don't want to, you know, I don't want my face to, you know, reveal like, oh, is there something wrong? Because, you know, it's, yeah, it just gets in a lot of gobbledygook. Just ask.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And something too is like, I feel like I have dealt with a lot of different reactions. I've had people look away, which is probably like the most common. Would you agree that the looking away is probably the most common? And you know what though, like, I don't blame people for doing that, because it isn't really spoken about, and when it is, it's in like TV or film, and it's seen as like a nervous habit, or it's seen as a humorous thing. And the thing is, like, it's not caused by nerves, which is a good thing to say, is like, you know, I feel like stuttering is seen a lot as like, oh, you have anxiety about it, you're nervous, just relax, and like, that's not it. Research has shown a genetic component to it, and neurological, and yeah, so that is like why we stutter. It's just a part of us, and it is what it is.
And Royce, something else to point out is that we, I just forgot what I was going to say.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Different people have different degrees of how they do it. Like for us, you know, as we're talking, we're probably thinking, oh, well, you know, they're not bad. Or, you know, oh, well, he's talking, you know, he's not bad. It depends on the day. It depends
Absolutely.
on the hour. It can depend on the minute that they are talking. I know some people who I've interacted with, like either online or through whatever else, or like even like phone conversations, and they they can't really get a word out without having a problem with each word. But then you have others like us who, are talking. You can definitely tell there's something going on. But it's just, it depends on the person and how accepting that they are of it. And just, it's like I said, it could be the day, the time, the hour, the minute. It could all change.
Yeah, it's definitely true. Like, there are days when I wake up and I know, like, oh, I'm going to have a bad stuttering day today. And I just, because I can feel it. And I know that, oh, this is going to be a bad day. And it took me a long time to get to a point to be like, okay. I was bullied a lot in high school for it. To the point where I had to become homeschooled. It got really bad.
Yeah.
And that whole year of me being bullied, I didn't talk, which is hard to believe now because ask anyone that knows me, I talk way too much. But yeah, that whole year, like, I didn't talk. And it really took a while for me to accept it and for me to realize this isn't the end of the world. Like, I can still live a successful life and I can still do things that I love even though I stutter. The biggest thing is just to have patience. I feel like our society is in a rush for everything. And it may feel like you're waiting forever to have a say of what we want to say, but it's literally like not that long. So to just relax and have some patience is all that we ask.
Yeah, I think it's annoying. Don't have a stuttering issue, but I think it's annoying when I'm trying to search for my word. It's like I'm like, what do I say? Or I forget like a store or something, and I'm trying to remember the name of something, and somebody will start studying, going, was it Sears? Was it Walmart? It's like, can you just let me think and just don't answer? So that annoys me too.
Yeah.
And I can imagine it's even more annoying when you're trying to have a conversation and people are just literally putting words in your mouth.
Yeah, and I think I find humor in it because, like I said, I have a good humor about it. When they try to do it, but it's wrong, and I'm like, and then I stop and I'm like, no, and then it makes them feel dumb because they tried to like fill in for me, and it's not what I was planning on saying.
Yeah, and we should also point out too that we were talking about the media and the way they portray people who stutter, and they're talking. A lot of times, I've seen a lot of caricatures of people that stutter that they're stupid. They're the dumb ones in the group, and that's definitely not true. I mean, just look at you and look at Tony. Tony, you work with computers, and Tony knows a lot more about computers than I'm technologically impaired. So it doesn't affect your brain, and we should also point out that it's not a mental illness, because I've heard that too. It's not a mental illness, although there is elements that kind of overlap as far as the way you're treated, because I know as having PTSD and having that, so there's definitely that kind of overlap, but it's not a mental illness. So, and it's not something that, like you said, it's not nerves, it's not this, it's not that, it's like...
I mean, I will definitely say, and I don't know, what's interesting is that every person who stutters is different. So how I stutter and how you stutter are completely different, and how what triggers my stutter is different from his. And I know for me, when I'm anxious, either in an excited way or a bad way, I stutter more. But that I say that with such, like, I'm careful with how I word that, because I don't want it to seem like anxiety or anxiousness is causing me to stutter.
Right.
It just increases it.
Yeah, and I think that's true with non-stuttering people.
Oh yeah. Everyone stutters a little bit.
Yeah, when you're nervous, I've done it on here, and you're nervous, or you don't know what to say, or something's just thrown at you, or you're really excited. People
happens.
they're not always eloquent and articulate. None of us are. So I think we need to just start learning more tolerance. And I found, actually, this was in under www.stutteringhelp.org, the Stuttering Foundation. And the other great one, too, is American Speech Language Hearing Association. That's www.asha.org. And if anybody wants more information, you can always email me at kempowered@gmail.com. But they had a list of famous people who stutter, and some of them, Winston Churchill stuttered, Marilyn Monroe, Carly Simon, for those of you who are old school, John Updike, the famous author, King George VI. So there's a lot of James Earl Jones. Now everybody, don't care how old you are, you have to know James Earl Jones, the original Darth Vader. But that's a pretty impressive list there.
Yeah.
People.
Also, Bill Withers, Ed Sheeran. He stutters. There's a lot of people, and I've actually had the pleasure of singing with Carly Simon.
Wow.
Which was really, really cool. It's also a common fact too that people who stutter are fluent when they sing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's Mel Tillis.
I met him too. Yes.
You met him too.
Yes.
Wow. Gee, I have a real celebrity here.
No, but there are a lot of great organizations that I'm a part of that I've gotten amazing opportunities from where I met those people. One is called SAY, the Stuttering Association for the Young, and it's in New York City, and they do theater and they do arts and they have a lot of great opportunities for kids who stutter. So I joined as a kid. I was 16, and then I graduated high school, and then I became a volunteer. Unfortunately, now I'm in a grad school, so I don't really have the time anymore, but I do go to their performances. So if you want more information on that, you can go to say.org.
Say.org. That's really great. So Ace was giving me the flashing light, like 10 minutes left. Is there?
Really?
Yeah. It's like, I know. He was like, there's so much to say, and yeah, we just had that. It's Senator Wagner's fault. It's your fault that these guests didn't have more time.
It's okay.
But anyway, what else would you like the people to know? I mean, are there support groups in this area, Tony? Did you ever start one?
I think that the closest ones I know of are. I know there was a gentleman that tried to start one. I think it's still in operation, and it's like at the border of Maryland and PA.
Okay.
But see, a lot of those are from or through the National Stuttering Association, and that's if I remember right, it's westutter.org. You can go on there and click like the local chapters to find them. But a lot of the chapters in the state right now, I was actually talking to Elena before Sue came on, and a lot of the chapters in the state are for adults. And what I was trying to do, and I had mentioned this to Elena, was I wanted to start a family group. Where it's you, I think they start at like age 7, and then it goes up to 18, and then when you're 18, you transition into the adult group. So what I would like to do is start that where they can come in and this is for friends, family, the person that stutters themselves, just so they can be able to get information about, okay, what do I do? My friend stutters, or my son stutters, or my daughter stutters, whatever, and learn how to do it, so then they can go from that to transitioning to the adult groups, and that way they have support now instead of being like, I'm all alone, I don't know what to do, and so that's one of the main goals that I want to do for 2017 for the local area.
Yeah, well, you definitely have to come back, and if I can be of any help, I'll help you as much as I can.
Thanks.
Try to find resources or referrals or people that are maybe therapists or something that could help, just to give you space to do this, because I think it's it's really a shame that we judge people so harshly.
Absolutely.
Just because somebody takes a little bit of time for them to articulate what they want to say.
Mm-hmm.
It just I don't understand it, but you know.
Me either.
I don't get it. But I'm glad that both of you came.
Thank you for
Really
having
am.
us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I really am, and I think there's so much this the stigma thing too, and the only way you overcome that is by coming out and talking about it. The
Yeah.
same thing with the mental health community. You tell people that all the time. Come out and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think like another thing about it is that like us as humans we tend to like try and categorize everything that happens with like interactions, people we meet, whatever else. And if we can't categorize it, it's like, okay, well, how are we going to cope with like not knowing what like what the unknown is? But yeah, so
Yeah. I think it's there's anything else that you want to let the people know about stuttering.
I think the most important part is to just have patience and listen. I have an interesting perspective because I stutter and I am studying to be a speech pathologist. So I see both aspects of it, and I see being a speech pathologist the wanting to help fix everything because I have caught myself so many times with clients and patients being like, oh, I just want to make them better, I want to fix it, and it's all out of good heart. But with stuttering, there isn't a fix. There are ways to make stuttering easier, and that is personally my view on that. Is that the goal of speech therapy in people who stutter is to make communication easier, and I know that for me sometimes stuttering can be uncomfortable. I mean, physically uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So to release that tension and help make stuttering easier, my personal view is that I will never be fluent, and that is okay. And so my goal for, as a speech pathologist is to be able to help people accept that they won't be fluent, but make it easier for them to say what they have to say.
That's. I mean, I'm so impressed with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, I'm impressed with Tony too. 'Cause, Tony, the computer stuff impresses me. It's like that he can do this, but I'm really impressed. Tony. Thanks for bringing her along because
I'm just glad that she volunteered to come, because for like months I was trying to get somebody to come on, and I thought I had somebody else that was sort of local, but but it's more of a thing where if you're not comfortable doing it, or you're not that comfortable with being in front of our people and doing it, as opposed to, I mean, personally I just don't care. And,
That's how I am too.
But, yeah.
I feel like we are both just like so open about it, and that's my biggest thing. Like, if you have a question, just please ask. Like, don't assume anything. Don't do like compensatory strategies because you think you have to. It's one of those things where if you have a question about it, just ask. And I love it when I'm asked questions. I love it.
Yeah, and don't finish your sentence.
Please.
Yeah, just that's a big takeaway. Don't finish my sentence. Don't finish your sentence. Or anyone who stutters, you just do what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Just look them in the eye
and
listen.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
don't oh God, it's so uncomfortable. You don't need to do that.
No.
Just take it slow and have a little patience.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So I want to thank both of you because I think we're really coming up on time here. We have 3 minutes yet. One of the things I do want to apologize to the York Literacy Council. They sent me a do you know they have this ZYX challenge, saying the alphabet backwards.
Oh, jeez.
I heard about that.
You heard about
Couldn't
this.
do it.
Well, I've been trying to show every week. We've been showing videos of different people doing this, and Mayor Bracy was a great one. And then they sent me one with Kevin Schreiber, and unfortunately, Ace couldn't get it to upload. So I guess it's upload, right, Tony? Is that see, I have no idea. So he couldn't get it to upload. So unfortunately, we couldn't see Representative Schreiber's. Maybe after the new year. I mean, the challenge actually ends at the end of this month, but I mean, it's still great to see them. So and to keep that in the minds of people that we do have a literacy council. They do need donations. They need donations all throughout the year, not just around Christmas time. So I want to thank Alina and Tony for coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Come
you.
back again.
Absolutely.
I hope maybe if you start the support group or your
Yes, you have to.
start the support group, that would be great. When you graduate, come back.
Well, thank you.
Or before. I want to thank the members of the unemployment centers, that the laid off workers. That's very sad. I hope that gets resolved. And just everyone, we will see you after the new year. So, my parting thoughts to everyone is just to be kind, be kind and be nice to everyone, and to also remember, if you're having difficulty over the holiday season, don't be afraid to ask for help. There are plenty of helps. There are good crisis numbers. There are plenty out there. So don't be afraid to ask for help, and have a safe and happy holiday season, whatever you celebrate. And we will see you next year. And Ace is doing this because he wants me to keep talking. Because apparently, so I'm just going to talk with my guests a little bit, and we'll see you next year. Bye. So great. I just, they're probably still on air, but
It's okay.
Yeah, we're still on air. But that's okay. We're just going to talk a little
It's all right.
bit. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, I get it. You did a good job, both of you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, did a real good job.
Thank you.
It really, I think it was a very good topic to talk about. So now Ace is counting us down. Yeah, here we go. So now we can.